From the very beginning, the boy had dreams, big dreams. He wanted to become strong, respected, and successful. He would imagine himself standing tall on a stage, holding a trophy, or being the one people admired for his achievements. But every time he tried to move forward, excuses whispered into his ears. I'll start tomorrow. I'm too tired today. What if I fail anyway? These excuses became his closest companions. They told him it was okay to stay in bed a little longer, okay to skip practice, okay to watch just one more video instead of studying. Day after day, he listened to them, and slowly those bright dreams began to fade into shadows. At school, his friends started moving ahead. Some were getting better grades, some were shining in sports, and some were already building skills for their future. But the boy, he stayed stuck. His mornings began late, his evenings ended with regret, and in between was a cycle of half-hearted effort. Every night he promised himself, tomorrow I will change. And every tomorrow looked just like today. Inside, he could feel the frustration growing. He wanted to be better, but excuses always won. Sometimes he even convinced himself that life was unfair. Maybe others were just more talented, maybe they had it easier. It was easier to blame than to take responsibility. But life does not reward excuses. It only rewards discipline. The breaking point came when he failed an important exam. He had told himself that he would study properly, but when the time came, he chose distractions. As he held that failing grade in his hand, he felt something he had never felt before, deep shame. His teacher looked at him with disappointment, then that look hurt more than the failure itself. That night, lying in his bed, he couldn't sleep. Excuses tried to comfort him again, it's just one exam. Maybe you weren't meant for this. But another voice inside him spoke louder than ever before. A voice he had ignored for too long. It said, you are not failing because you lack talent. You are failing because you lack discipline. The boy sat up. He thought about his dreams, those bright images of success he once carried in his heart. He realized they were not impossible. They were just locked behind a wall, and excuses were the bricks that built it. Tears rolled down his cheeks, not because of the failure, but because of the truth he could no longer deny. He had been lying to himself all this time. Excuses had stolen his potential, and he had allowed it. This moment was painful, but it was also powerful. For the first time, the boy saw his excuses not as harmless thoughts, but as enemies standing between him and the life he wanted. And in that silent night, with no one watching, he made a decision. A decision that will change everything. The next morning, the boy woke up with the same weight of failure pressing on his shoulders. But this time, something was different. He didn't wait for motivation. He didn't wait for the perfect mood. He forced himself out of bed. It was hard. His body begged him to sleep a little longer. His mind whispered the same old lines, just 5 more minutes, we'll start tomorrow instead. But he refused. For the first time, he refused to listen. He began small. He made his bed. He washed his face. He opened his books. These were not huge victories, but they were the first cracks in the wall of excuses. Each action, no matter how small, gave him a new strength. At school, things didn't magically change. His grades were still low, his confidence still shaky. But now, instead of feeling hopeless, he felt determined. He started using discipline as his weapon. He created a simple routine: wake up early, study for an hour, practice his skills, and review before sleep. There were days he stumbled. Days when he wanted to give up. Days when his friends teased him for working so hard. But he kept going. He reminded himself of the shame he once felt and the promise he made that night. Every time excuses tried to sneak back in, he remembered, excuses are my enemy. Discipline is my ally. Slowly, results began to appear. He started answering questions in class with confidence. His teachers noticed his effort and praised him. His body grew stronger as he committed to regular exercise. His grades climbed step by step, not because of luck, but because of consistency. The boy was changing, not overnight, but through steady, disciplined action. One day, his mentor, the teacher who once looked at him with disappointment, stopped him after class. With a smile, the teacher said, "I see the change in you. This is the discipline I always knew you were capable of." Those words lit a fire inside him. For the first time in his life, he felt the reward of discipline. Not just better grades, not just stronger skills, but respect. Respect from others, and more importantly, respect for himself. The boy learned that discipline was not punishment. Discipline was freedom. Freedom from regret, freedom from wasted time, a freedom from the pain of always wondering what if. As months passed, he became an example to others. Friends who once mocked him began asking for his advice. Some even followed his routine. His family noticed his maturity and spoke proudly of his growth. And then came the day he once dreamed about. Standing on a stage, holding a certificate of achievement, he looked at the crowd and smiled. But inside, he wasn't smiling because of the certificate. He was smiling because he knew the truth, the real victory was not the award, it was defeating the excuses that once controlled him. The moral of his journey was clear: excuses give temporary comfort, but they steal your future. Discipline is painful in the beginning, but it gives rewards that last forever. So whenever you feel tired, whenever excuses whisper in your ear, remember the boy who refused to let them win. Remember that discipline is the bridge between your dreams and your reality. And if he could build that bridge, so can you.